Today we are again talking about Krishna's Leelas in Vrindavan. And this chapter is very nice because it actually shows us the atmosphere of Vrindavan, and it also shows us various relationships in which Krishna enjoys. So the first relationship in this chapter starts from, in a way, neutral rasa, because he enters the forest. And there are so many trees and birds and different animals. And the trees are bowing down due to the fruits that they are holding on their branches. And because the fruits are so heavy, it seems as if the trees are bowing down, but actually they are bowing down to Krishna, to Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram. And then we have different animals who are observing Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram. And we had in the last verse a description of the beautiful bees, right? The honeybees, they become so mad with ecstasy that they closed their eyes and began to sing about the glories of Krishna. The deers, they glance at Krishna with their eyes, and the birds, which were actually imitated by Lord Krishna and Balaram, but they are producing various signs in glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's very nice because it is described how from this description we can actually learn how to greet a guest or how to greet a very elevated personality, a sage in our home. So the trees and the animals in Vrindavan forest are actually showing us that. So I made a note that how Vishwan Chakravarti Thakur says that it is the nature of a cultured person to receive a saintly person with dance, because we had peacocks who were dancing in this Leela. So they're the greatest dancers, and Nadia Bihari Prabhu was speaking about their dancing. So when we greet a saintly person, we should actually dance. And the devotees, they actually do that, because whenever they, when their spiritual master, for instance, is coming, he's always greeted with dancing and singing. So in a way, we are following the residents of Vrindavan, whether it doesn't matter in which form they are, but we are following them. And then the deers, they give affectionate glances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it actually means that, if you ever were somewhere where your spiritual master was coming, you could see that all his disciples were affectionately glancing at their spiritual master, just like the deers are glancing at Krishna in the forest. And it can be appropriate comparison because the spiritual master is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he should be worshipped exactly like him. So in a way, when we develop love towards a pure devotee, it helps us to develop love towards Krishna. And we should also greet him with sweet words, and the cuckoos are the ones who are representing that. So they are making melodious sounds in the forest, and therefore they are again receiving Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we also know that, for instance, when we receive the spiritual master, we also speak to him sweet words. So it's kind of a beautiful how I was listening to this one lecture because I always say his name wrongly. I'm not good with names, and I should know his name, but I never had the chance to personally meet him. So when I don't meet persons in person, then I just don't remember their names. So Jagri Prabhu, who is now, actually we are praying for him, but like two months ago he gave a nice lecture on this verse. And he said how Krishna in this chapter is showing us what is the real existence, what is actually the reality, which is natural for the spirit soul. we think that the reality is this world, like the relationships that we have in this world. But we all know that the relationship that we have here can be nice, but eventually they will bring pain. You can have the most perfect relationship in the world, but since we are not this body, we will not reside permanently in this body. We will have to leave, whether we or the person with whom we have a relationship with. It will bring us, in a way, pain. So this is like showing us how the spirit souls actually interact between each other and between the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, as I said, we were describing how this chapter is talking about, describing actually all the relationships that Krishna has in Vrindavan, in a way. So he was entering the forest, and the trees were bowing down, and the deers were giving these glances on Krishna, and the cuckoos were singing, and what did I say? The cuckoos and I forgot. The peacocks were dancing. So, and it is said by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that it is the nature of a cultured person to receive a saintly person with dance, affectionate glance, and sweet words. And then I compared it to when we receive our spiritual master. We always receive him with singing and dancing, and we glance at him because we have love for him. And we also present him with sweet words. These sweet words can be seen, for instance, if a spiritual master is having a Vyasa Puja, then all disciples, they offer sweet words and they receive him and welcome him and appreciate him in this way. So this atmosphere in Vrindavan is showing us the reality in which the spirit soul lives. So Krishna is showing us what is our reality. He's showing his reality, which he lives in the spiritual world, but he's also showing how the spirit souls are actually interacting with him and between each other. And then, because Lord Krishna, he was shy and he didn't want to be glorified too much, and he understood actually that the trees were bowing down to him because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still, he wanted to put the focus, the intention on Lord Balaram. So therefore, he started to glorify him. And this chapter, we can see that Lord Balaram is glorified by Krishna by sweet words. Lord Balaram is also served by Krishna, which we can see in this verse. So, to read the verse again. So when his elder brother, Lord Balaram, fatigued from playing, would lie down with his head upon the lap of a cowherd boy, Lord Krishna would help him relax by personally massaging his feet and offering other services. So, Lord Krishna is Shaktiman, and Lord Balaram is Shaktiman also. But in this context, he is showing us that Swayam Bhagavan, so the supreme cause of all causes and the one and only, the one who everyone else serves, the one who is actually the enjoyer of everything, he's the one who is serving. So he's showing by his example what is actually the constitutional position of us, because we are part and parcel of Krishna. So it is said that it is compared actually that we are just like a drop of the ocean. So we, as a drop of the ocean, we contain all the qualities of the ocean. So this service, this tendency to serve that the jivas have, it comes from Krishna also, because it's quite natural for him to serve. But he serves because he loves. And sometimes people question like, okay, so Krishna serves, but there are so many philosophical conclusions in the Vedas and in the Shastras, where, especially in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam also, where it is mentioned how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he doesn't do anything. He's aloof from everything. And he says that in the Bhagavad Gita. And let's see which is the verse. I found it somewhere. He says in Bhagavad Gita 3:22, O son of Prita, there is no work prescribed for me within all the 3 planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. And it is not only, here in this context, he's talking about prescribed duties and how he has to be example that everyone else will follow, because if he were not to perform all these activities, then the world will be in ruination because everyone would do whatever they want to do. So he has to set an example. That's one reason why he performs the activities, but the other reason is to give pleasure to the devotees. And why is that? Because he loves his devotees. So I like these verses from the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in the story of Maharaj Ambarish, where Krishna very clearly says what is his feeling, opinion that he has about his devotees. So I hope we all know the story where Durvasa Muni was trying to kill Maharaj Ambarish, and Maharaj Ambarish, he broke the fast of Ekadashi in a way that Durvasa Muni didn't like it, and he felt offended, and therefore he had an urge to create a fiery demon to attack Maharaj Ambarish. But when he did that, then Lord Vishnu or Krishna, he got quite upset, and then he sent his Sudarshan chakra to protect Maharaj Ambarish. In this story, there are many conclusions that we can make, or it shows many examples of how a devotee is and how Lord Krishna is towards a devotee. So it's not only talking about, but this is the main point that I'm trying to make, like why he protected him and what is the general feeling and opinion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead towards his devotees. So he sends his Sudarshan chakra, and the Sudarshan chakra, of course, kills the demon who was attacking Maharaj Ambarish. And then Sudarshan chakra starts to attack, actually he wants to hurt Durvasa Muni, who is running all over the universe in fear of Sudarshan chakra and trying to find a shelter. And we know that he approaches Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and they cannot help him because it's not their weapon and they're not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they all instruct him to actually find a shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Vishnu. And he goes there, and Lord Vishnu then says many wonderful things. And he says that actually this weapon, this Sudarshan chakra, he has no control over it. Actually, the control over Sudarshan chakra have his devotees. So he says that I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent, because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires. I sit only within the cores of their hearts. What to speak of my devotee? Even those who are devotees of my devotee are very dear to me. And then he says, O best of the Brahmanas, without saintly persons, for whom I am the only destination, I do not desire to enjoy my transcendental bliss and my supreme opulences. So this is definitely a sentence in which confirms that he created everything to enjoy. Even the rebellious jivas that are in the material world, he wants them to come back, because they are actually, if there are more and more jivas who are having a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he enjoys even more and more, because he's unlimited and he wants to unlimitedly enjoy all this. And he says, I do not even desire to enjoy that all that I have, and all that he has is actually everything. So he doesn't want to enjoy it if he doesn't have anyone to enjoy it with. So he wants others to come to him. And in the purport, I love this purport, because this purport actually shows the Sankirtan mood of Srila Prabhupada and our old parampara. He says that although the Supreme Lord is full in 6 opulences, he does not feel transcendental bliss without his devotees. And therefore, he wants to increase his devotees unlimitedly. Thus he descends, this is one explanation of why he descends. So thus he descends to the material world to induce the non-devotees and rebellious living entities to return home back to Godhead. He requests them to surrender unto him, because unlimited as he is, he wants to increase his devotees unlimitedly. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada says how this science of transcendental bliss is known to a pure devotee. Therefore, the pure devotee is always engaged in increasing the transcendental happiness of the Lord. So he knows what pleases him the best. And that is that he engages other people to come to him, so he can increase the enjoyment of Krishna, and Krishna loves that. And then Krishna says, since pure devotees give up their homes, wives, children, relatives, riches, and even their lives simply to serve me, without any desire for material improvement in this life or in the next, how can I give up such devotees at any time? So this is like the reasons, objective reasons, why he cannot reject the devotee, because he gave everything to him. But in the other reason is that he has love and affection, of course. And then he says in this nice verse that everyone, I guess, knows, the pure devotee is always within the core of my heart, and I am always in the heart of the pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I do not know anyone else but them. So if you ever want to know how Krishna feels about his devotees, this is how he feels. And someone may say, well, this verse was about Lord Balaram. So he's a Vishnu Tattva. So he's not a pure devotee in the sense of a jiva. But we all know that all the expansions and partial expansions of the expansions of Lord Krishna, they are Vishnu Tattvas, but they're also servants. And it is said that Lord Balaram is the greatest servant of Lord Krishna, because everything actually in the spiritual and material worlds is his expansion. He serves Krishna in that way, and we know that he's his umbrella, he's his bed. Actually, this whole temple, and I know the pillars in the temples, they're also Balaram, so he serves everything. He serves Krishna in all these ways. So since this is a transcendental relationship, there is always an exchange. And this is very important to know, that it's not that Krishna is sitting on some chair, on some pedestal, I don't know how to say it in English, I guess it's like that. It's not like, oh, I'm sitting here and now I'm observing all of you who are serving me and I'm just enjoying and taking. He's not like that. He's personal. That's why Vaishnavism is a personal philosophy, religion, way of life, however you want it, because Krishna reciprocates. So in the same way that Lord Balaram is serving Krishna, Lord Krishna is serving him. And this is the way he shows his love and appreciation of his brother, who is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but also of his devotees. So in this verse we have Lord Balaram. This is a relationship that is shown here. But we will see later on in the verses how Krishna will have exchanges with his cowherd boys. So he will also glorify them, and he will also serve them, but in a different way. He shows now another relationship, a relationship of equals in Sakyarasa. So here the boys, they don't think that Krishna is actually better than them. I mean, they come to him as a leader because they know that he's killing the demons, but actually he's equal with them, and they play with him, they wrestle with him, they do all these sorts of things. They also serve him, and he serves them through playing, I don't know, carrying them on his shoulder when they are wrestling. So this is another relationship that Krishna shows in this chapter. Then they go to this Talava forest. And then Krishna shows actually why he came to this material world, and that is to eliminate the demons. What is the name of this? Talavana forest. So there we have how Lord Balaram, he kills the Nuka demon, but then his friends come and they want to attack the cowherd boys and Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, and then together Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram kill the other friends. So here he shows why actually appear in this material world, to eliminate the demons. But we also know that since Krishna is all good, when he eliminates those demons, they all, because they have an association with him, they got liberation. And I didn't go into the details or into the depth to see what happened to the Dhanuka demon, where did he end up. But the point is that he always comes for the benefit of everyone. And then after they have liberated the Talavana forest of these demons, and when the people were finally able to collect all the fruits that were there, then they went home. And then in this chapter, another relationship is shown. It is the Vatsalya rasa, where his parents and the elderly gopas and gopis are expecting their children to come from the pasturing grounds where they were tending the cows. And then they're coming, and then we see a beautiful relationship of Mother Yashoda, how she actually receives Krishna, how she bathes him, how she feeds him after the day of hard work, even though Krishna doesn't work, but he tends to the cows. So here we see the relationship. And when he comes, we also see the relationship with the gopis, because they just glance at him because he finally came, and they were in such an agony of separation while he was gone and tending the cows. And it's a very nice description, which I will read because I have time, of how subtle their relationship actually is. Because each relationship has a sweetness, and it's a little bit different. And what I've noticed, because I was reading this Sarata Darshini from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when he comments on each of the relationships, he has a lot to say about the relationship Krishna has with the gopis, but for others he's not so expert, let's say it like that. So that also talks about his mood and what he actually meditates on. But it's quite nice. So you can just now imagine that the cowherd boys are coming back home, and they're full of dust because the cows and the cowherd boys, while they're walking on Vrindavan, they're lifting the dust from the ground. And then the boys and the cows, they're full of dust, and it is described how Krishna on his head, on his hair, he's full of Vrindavan dust. That's his decoration. Shri Shri Radha Gopinata ki jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai. So you can imagine our Gopinath having dust of Vrindavan and being very dirty, coming home to his parents. And then all the gopis are watching how he's returning, because they're dying of separation because they didn't see him the whole day. And I will read from the text 43 of the same chapter and the commentary on Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which is really nice. So the gopis. With their bee-like eyes, the women of Vrindavan drank the honey of the beautiful face of Lord Mukunda, and thus they gave up the distress they had felt during the day because of separation from him. The young Vrindavan ladies cast sidelong glances at the Lord, glances filled with bashfulness, laughter, and submission. And Shri Krishna completely accepted these glances as a proper offering of respect, and he entered the cowherd village. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, what did the gopis do when they approached Krishna? This verse answers the question. With their bee-like eyes, the Vraja gopis drank the honey, saragam, of Mukunda's beautiful sweet face. The gopis, who were not seen by Krishna, did not just glance upon him, but they stared at Krishna with wide open eyes when no one was looking. So you can compare them to those deers at the beginning of the lecture in the forest. So they glanced at him. And anyway, we sang so much about, we sang so much Radha Kripa Kataksha, the glances, where we want the glances of Radharani, and Krishna Kripa Kataksha, where we pray for the glances of Krishna. So basically what is known to the devotees, that Krishna communicates with the glances with his devotees, and they communicate with the glances with him. So it's very subtle, and they know it. I mean, they actually know what the glance means. There's like a secret message in it. So then, upon catching Krishna's attention, those gopis broke into smiles out of joy. But due to bashfulness, they stopped their opened eyes and smiles by covering their mouths with their left hands and pulling their veils over their eyes. This showed the gopis' sense of submission, vinayam. Thus the gopis displayed all the moods of chaste girls who look upon their beloved with shyness, jubilation, and submission. Taking their gazing as an offering from their hearts, Krishna became aware of the great sweetness of the gopis' love. So I like this very much, because the offering of love to Krishna can be a glance from your eyes that comes from the heart. So it really doesn't matter whether you're like Dira Krishna Prabhu, who is doing who is doing the Aratik now, or I don't know, offering whatever to Krishna, or I don't know how many books distributing. I'm just talking about material things that we perform to Krishna. It's not all about that, it's all about the heart. So even if your heart is pure enough and you just give a glance to Krishna, that's a very nice offering, and he will accept it. And we see it from this example of the gopis. So Krishna became aware of the great sweetness of the gopis' love. Fully accepting those glances with complete relish, that supreme master of romantic arts entered the village of Raj. There is a meaning in the two actions of offering and accepting the bashful smiling. The gopis' offering of respect was their bashful laughing, submission, and sidelong glances. Krishna accepted their offering by responding with enchanting glances. One can elaborate on the scene as follows. So this is how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur sees it. Taking the flower of their glances offered by their servants, called the sanchari bhava of enthusiasm, in the hands of their eyes, and taking the flower of their smiles offered by the servants, called the sanchari bhava of joy, in their hands, made of their delicate lips, the Vraja gopis approached Krishna, saying, "Please accept those offerings, which are all that we have in our house." So the hands for offering were the eyes, and the offering was the glance, and the hands for offering were the lips, and the offering was the smile. So when Krishna engaged now his servant in the form of his glance to accept the gifts, his crafty glance became eager to steal the gifts, which were previously kept within the gopis' houses. Therefore Krishna withdrew his glance to himself. When the gopis offered these gifts again, Krishna's glance freed itself and quickly approached the gopis to steal the two gifts with the vigor of a voyeur. But then a Sakhi in the form of bashfulness, who has the power to cover things, suddenly appeared and hid the two gifts. So this is, like, for me, quite amazing, because we always think that, I mean, everything is spiritual in the spiritual world. So the bashfulness has a form, and it's a Sakhi. So she's doing the service in this glancing between the gopis and Krishna. So then another Sakhi, so another gopi, Sakhi, who is serving, named Vinaya, submission, arrived, and fight broke out between them. So between Sakhi bashfulness and Sakhi submission, they were fighting. And then Krishna's servant, in the form of his glance, however, forcibly took the gift of the gopis' glances along with their bashfulness and submission and offered them to Krishna. So the glance of Krishna is a servant of Krishna who took them all and offered them to Krishna. It's like quite amazing. And then receiving these three like a precious jewel, Krishna carefully placed them upon the altar in the temple of his heart. So that's really beautiful. So this is the implication of the word satkrim, an offering. So although bashfulness and other words have their own power of implication, because satkritim, or offering, and moksha have such deep meanings, they have been explained here in detail. So, yeah, this is what I wanted to share from this book. So, by these explanations, I wanted to show how serving Krishna and Krishna serving the devotees can be seen through gross platform, from the aspect of the activities they perform, but also the subtle one. And we saw how these subtle ones are through the glances and through bashfulness and shyness and so on. And we can see how everything is spiritual in the spiritual world, and how everything is serving and enhancing actually this relationship between the devotees and Krishna in their exchanges. And this is the variety that Krishna likes to enjoy. And this that we explained right now is the reality. So this is the only reality that actually exists. Anything else is an illusion. And this is what Krishna comes here to show us. And by relishing these pastimes, by speaking about them, we actually get to know Krishna. And by kirtanam and shravanam, kirtanam, we are getting to know him, we are purifying ourselves. And for me, what is the most fascinating thing is that all these relationships that we actually read about in the scriptures, we can experience them. It is said that spiritual realization, that means our realization or our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can be given through sound. So whether it's a Maha Mantra, which is not different from Krishna, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this mantra, this Maha Mantra, is not different from Krishna. We can have a realization of Krishna if we chant purely. It is said that he, how you say that in English? Not exposes himself, but he reveals himself. Thank you. Reveals himself in the mantra. We can see the form of Krishna. We can see the qualities of Krishna. We can see the pastimes of Krishna, and in the end, we can see who we are and what is our relationship with Krishna. But we also have the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, where everything of this is explained, and we can actually experience the same emotions that all the devotees that are mentioned in the scriptures have. We can experience them by hearing about them also. It is, Srila Prabhupada explained in Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam how he was explaining the rasas that exist in the spiritual world, which is our reality. And he said that everything, so this not raga, ruchi or taste, can be experienced through Srimad Bhagavatam. So just by talking about it and hearing about it, and then of course comes remembrance and everything else, but this can be experienced. And so I like that, so I try to read and listen more and more, because I have faith that the transcendental sound, which is actually the transcendental sound incarnation of Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, that it will reveal one day this relationship, this taste and everything. And that's why we actually do this, that's why we hear it, because Krishna cannot be perceived by our senses, which are material. He is not material, so he can only be perceived by spiritual senses. He is very merciful to us, and because we cannot see him, we cannot perceive him with the mind intelligence, he comes anyway in his Archa Vigraha form, which we have, and then we can at least try to establish some kind of relationship because he comes mercifully in some material form. But basically he's realized the best through the sound. And also when I was reading about Archa Vigraha forms which come to the world to help us to establish a relationship with Krishna, it is also said that the Archa Vigraha form is actually Krishna in our mind. And if we worship Krishna in the mind, it has the same effect as worshipping the deity. So it talks about subtleness of how things can be done in reciprocation with Krishna. So we should try to revive this, and we should try to, by listening about this relationship, to feel this taste for it. And if we feel the taste for relationships with Krishna that are like this, we will develop also desires and to follow, to serve Krishna and to follow the devotees who actually established the relationship with Krishna. And I also wanted to point out one more thing, but I have to just check what I wanted to say actually. Yeah. So I was pointing many times how Krishna shows with this that this is a reality, actually the real reality. This is the point that Pankajangri Prabhu said, that this concept of God, who is so esoteric because he's serving in these ways that are totally unimaginable to people, it's so esoteric that they cannot, it doesn't exist in other religions. I mean, there we have a God who words or punishes, but I didn't actually hear anywhere that God serves. Maybe some of you have experiences or read something that God serves in other religions, but actually that's what Pankajagri Prabhu said.
At least he's Christianity is provided.
Yeah. But not like this, like that he's an equal, but so basically, I mean, okay, he provides.
He was serving in the secret dinner with the 12 disciples. He was serving the
Yeah.
difficult and right percent his portion.
Yeah, but Jesus is the Son of God, so.
But it's in
Yeah.
different aspect.
Yeah.
We don't have a personal concept of God, so it's different.
Yes.
But it's definitely to serve him.
Yeah.
Actions which are known, like opening the sea and also then we can close and providing food.
Yeah. That's true. But the point that he's making in this lecture that I was listening is that the concept of God is so esoteric that people cannot believe it. And then he says, that which is very nice, like, can you imagine that you are now sitting in front of someone who doesn't know anything about Krishna, and then you are telling to him, well, God would run through the forest, following the shadows of the birds, and he would shout out the names in the how you say? I actually wrote it wrong. That's why I don't know how to. Where you grab the water from the well. I totally wrote it in the wrong way. Well, okay. So he shouts the names in the well so that the echo would come back. So he's playing all the times.
Inside, so then
Yeah.
what is cursing back,
Yeah, so if you would explain God in this way to someone, he would think you're crazy. So, yeah. So then Pankajagri, I can't remember, I don't know why. Anyway, Prabhu says that this is so simplistic and it is unbelievable, but that's a fact. He is doing human activities as well, but he's also doing the ordinary activities, like, I mean, he's taking care of the cows, so that's his job, actually, in Goloka Vrindavan. So the another point that I wanted to make is that we read all this, and it's also very nice, and we call ourselves devotees in a way, and we have our names that are given to us by our spiritual master, das or dasi. So we are servants. But when we hear about all of this, and when we look at ourselves, and when we also hear about the devotees who are serving the Lord, then it's like this introspection we should have. Like, can we actually call ourselves the servants of God? Like, it's so high. Like, do we have this qualification? Can we be so puffed up to say it? This is like this introspection of humility in ourselves. Because actually, we should follow what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. And I guess you all know it, but I have to read it. That he said that those who are my direct devotees are actually not my devotees, but those who are the devotees of my servant are actually my devotees. And this is what Krishna teaches us through his actions also. Because he serves. So we read in this verse how he serves Lord Balaram, but we know that he serves the gopis, he serves Mother Yashoda also. I mean, he carries the slippers of his father on his head. So he serves. So he serves his devotees. So we should also serve his devotees. And there is also this prayer that Lord Chaitanya said that I am not a Brahmana, I'm not a Vaishnava, I'm not a Kshatriya, whatever he says, but I'm just a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. So so this should be our meditation, and actually the best way we can practice to develop our relationship with Krishna is to develop our relationship of service towards the devotees. So this is actually something that Rupa Goswami in Upadeshamrita says that it's very important, like this loving exchanges between devotees. So we reveal our minds, we listen when someone else reveals their minds, we offer gifts in charity, we receive gifts in charity, and we cook and serve prasadam, and we accept prasadam. And one more thing I would add, and that is from Madhavananda Prabhu. He points it out very often, that there should be Krishna Katha always between devotees. Sometimes we forget that. I mean, it's very nice to have friendly relationships with everyone and to know about other people's lives. But actually the central point of our conversations should in a way be Krishna through this Krishna Katha. And that's why it's very important to have these lectures in the morning and in the evening, whether, it doesn't matter which are, but that the devotees, they come together and then they discuss Krishna. Because Krishna is actually, you can only live in harmony when you have Krishna in the center. So he has to be the central point of your lives. And that's also something that was emphasized in this lecture that I was listening to. But so these are the points we should develop in our relationship and exchanges between devotees, but ultimately the development of love that we have towards the devotees and that we have in development of our relationships with them is practice ground for establishing our relationship with Lord Krishna. Because we know in the scriptures we cannot approach Krishna directly. We approach it through a pure devotee of the Lord. And it is also mentioned in various scriptures from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, how this pure devotee is usually seen in the person of the spiritual master also. So, and as I said at the beginning, when we were talking about the peacocks dancing and the deers who were glancing and the cuckoos who were singing, we compared all this dancing offering sweet words and sweet glances, we compared it to how we receive our spiritual master, and then we said how the spiritual master is also the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and how he should be worshipped in this way. So this is also one point, one aspect where we could practice, where we should practice to develop our relationship and love, because this actually helps us to develop our relationship and love towards Krishna. And if anyone has an experience of love for their spiritual master, then maybe if he experiences it in a way that is very overwhelming, then he might pray that one day he can be so overwhelmed with Krishna, because it has some substance is there, some reality is there, and this is a spiritual relationship, a transcendental relationship. And as we know, Lord Krishna has transcendental relationships with his devotees and with everyone else. So this should be our aim. So to conclude, we were talking about how this chapter actually presents the reality of the spiritual world, and how this is the only reality that we have. Reality for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, and reality for us as spirit soul. So when we read about it, when we meditate on it, we are actually seeing the reality. Everything else is an illusion. Whatever concepts that we have of reality, they are not true. This is actually our life, our constitutional position of service toward Krishna. This chapter also shows all the relationships, from the relationships that Krishna has with the trees, with the cuckoos, with the peacocks, with the bees. So it's a neutral rasa. It also represents the relationship that Krishna has with Lord Balaram, which is a Vishnu Tattva. It also represents a relationship that Krishna has in Sakya rasa with the cowherd boys, and in Vatsalya rasa with Mother Yashoda, who welcomes him when he comes from the pasturing grounds. And it also shows the relationship that he has with the gopis, and how it is the most pure and most complicated and most subtle, and I don't know what else, relationship, because that's how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur presented it. And we also saw how everything is spiritual in the spiritual world. Even bashfulness and shyness are sakis who serve Krishna in their exchanges, when he has exchanges with the gopis. So then we said how this concept of God is unbelievable for people. It's very esoteric, because we have a God who serves in this simple and sometimes complicated ways, and people cannot perceive it and they cannot imagine it, because it's not spoken about so much in other religions. And then we also said how we should also introspect on ourselves as servants of Krishna, and can we actually call ourselves the servants of Krishna, and how we should meditate on serving the devotees of Krishna, and how we can actually develop relationships with that. And of course, in each aspect of everything that I've mentioned, we can go even deeper, but we don't have time. And that's all I have prepared for today. So if you have any questions and comments, you're more than welcome. And yeah. I don't know where it is.
So about to be back on the glances, is it not the glance of Krishna that we perceive sometimes? Let's say, let's put it like that. Is it not his visible mercy and cosmic mercy? Is it not that mercy? Because I just remember at one moment of our philosophy, it said like, you just have the mercy of Krishna out of seven once, and this may never appear again. It's without reason. So is it not the same with the glance of Krishna? Is it also not his respectful mercy?
Does he, so to see if I understood correctly your question, so you're trying to say, you want to say that through his glances he also gives us mercy.
Yeah, and is it not that mercy that in our philosophy we explore many times, which is coming out of nothing, and it's you just get it or you just don't get it. It's without reason and it's just unconditional. It's not this glance
Yeah,
same.
it can be seen like that. I mean, Krishna can do many things through his glances. He glances over the tattva, material tattva, how you call it? Mahatattva. He glances over it and then the creation of the universe happens. So by glance he can also give his mercy. He does everything by his glances. I mean, especially in the Archa Vigraha form. But there's also like many aspects of the glances. You know, because I see Krishna as someone who is all-powerful and he can do everything, and he has so many varieties of relationships because all of us here are so different sitting in this room. And I don't know how many billion of people are in the world and they're all different. So he can give all those different glances for someone in some other way. And I would only say that Krishna always gives his mercy. Always. I don't think that anyone is bereft of his mercy. Because even if you look at it as a philosophically from the point of our shastras, everything that is happening to us is actually some kind of a mercy of Krishna, and what he created this material world so he can bring us back. So even when we suffer and we think that there's no mercy of Krishna because nothing is happening, that is mercy because we're going the wrong way. So this suffering is here to turn us back towards something good, usually him, but we don't see him at that time, but something else will happen that will bring us close to him. So in that sense, it's always mercy, and he has so many different glances, so one of them can be mercy. That's why we prayed to Srimati Radharani and Krishna for his glances. I mean, as I understood from the song, the glances that we were praying for were mercy, right? I mean, from the song. Yeah.
Krishna Kataksha.
Yeah. Merciful glances of Radharani. And actually this mercy that you're talking about in the end, just to remember the English word, the benediction that Radha Kripa Kataksha gives, so that if we do all these things that are described in the song, and if we sing it on Ekadashi, and if we are bathing in Radha Kund, then she will give us the mercy. And what is the mercy? That in this life we see her Shyama Sundar in front of our eyes. So, I mean, that's the mercy, what Krishna gives in Radharani, that we see Krishna. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Something, because they were saying, I mean, it's also, we have also this kind of connection with the glands. They say that the eyes are the windows of the soul.
Yes.
So then, there's so much to do with the way that we are feeling, and the way it is expressed actually through the glands.
Yeah.
So it's,
because I read somewhere some lila where Krishna is just glancing at Lalita or Vishaka, and they know what they have to bring at that moment. So, but we also do that.
We also know, but we ignore it. I mean, we ignore a lot of spiritual reality in our life, just because of wanting to be an illusion. But it is something that we do all the time. Ignoring Krishna, we do it like right and left. This is madness. That we do it.
Yes, I agree. But don't you think that, for instance, when you have, I mean, because I compared it to the relationship of devotee that has with the spiritual master, but when you serve your spiritual master, when he glances at you, even he doesn't say anything, he just glances, So it's like, it's totally normal. And for instance, in my marriage, I look in a certain way at my husband, he knows what I'm thinking. So, yeah.
Thank you very much for the very beautiful lecture, and I really liked how you stressed about the invocation of love, which I think we have to always remind ourselves, because at least for me on a personal level it happens that you can keep practicing and you lose the essence. Like sometimes you might think, I am doing this to purify my existence or whatever. But then Prabhupada time and again points out that invocation of love for Krishna in our hearts is very important. And therefore there is a connection between devotees and Krishna, because only when we have that love for Krishna do we actually also love devotees.
Yeah.
Because like they say that if you love somebody, you love their dog. It's the same concept, basically. And also coming back to mercy, I heard this very beautiful statement. It is from Deenadayal Prabhu, but in Zurich. He's Indra Maharaj's disciple. And he made a statement which really stayed with me. He said that mercy, because sometimes we think causeless mercy, you just float with it and it will come or whatever. But he said, mercy has to be earned through a lifetime of devotional service. So mercy too has to be earned. It's there. And Prabhupada says that the sun is there, but to experience sun, you have to be out there in the sun.
Yeah.
So mercy is there, but we have to also earn it. So we cannot just float around thinking, oh, mercy will come. We have to really earn it.
True.
And also I think I really liked also the fact that you spoke about the holy name. And that is so significantly connected with invocation of love. Because sometimes on my personal level I feel that I don't chant properly because I don't love Krishna enough, to be honest. Like the mind is inattentive or all of this. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur very extensively speaks about why the mind is inattentive. And one of the factors is because we don't love Krishna. And yeah, there's so much mercy that is there in the holy name. And there's the Japa Reform Notebook. I'm a great fan of this book.
Okay.
I always preach about it. It's from Satsvarupa Maharaj. And it can really reform chanting. And yeah, chanting is this process of love and mercy, which we perhaps don't fully realize. And yeah, I really appreciated, especially your descriptions from Sharata Darshani, from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And it's so important to read these things because you understand like the exchange of glances, etc. I couldn't stop smiling because it's so sweet.
Yeah,
It's so important to actually taste that sweetness. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I realized is that if we read pastimes like this, then some taste comes, and when you chant after that, then it's a different chanting, so it helps in a way. I mean, if you couldn't stop smiling, so then it's different then to chant after you listen to that, then yeah. But thank you for your comment.
I was thinking about this statement that actually when you love Krishna, you love everybody. But I was thinking actually in the process that we know, that attraction to Krishna starts from the devotees, attraction to the devotees, then you start to have faith, and then the whole process goes. But I mean, I really experience it that when we have good relationship with the devotees, our openness, I mean, our relationship with Krishna is so much more real. And then when it is not, you know, even if you're chanting and you think that you're doing everything proper, it is blocked. This is my experience, but it is.
Yeah.
So then relationship with the devotees of service, I mean, this is something which is very important for our relationship with Krishna. And of course, when you love Krishna, I mean, this is like naturally you love.
Yeah. I asked my spiritual master a question because I always have problems with relationships with devotees. And then he said that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explains it even more deeper about the association, and he mentioned 3 stuff that I remember now, and for me it's like, when will I ever get to that stage? He said that you have friendships and your friend, the devotee, is more dear to you than your own life. And he's also worshipable to you, so you worship him and you consider him a place of pilgrimage, tirtha. And I'm like, yeah, right. I mean, this is just it's a beautiful standard. When I think of my relationships and me in those relationships, I'm too selfish.
I mean, I think it is also going very much together with, first of all, to see the devotee according to his relationship with Krishna. So this is already kind of making you distant from wanting to do any harm, because you see that this person is very dear to Krishna. So then you're seeing him in a certain way. But I mean, if we really believe that Krishna is our friend, and then the devotees are his very dear, and then we don't really see that the devotee is harming us, because we actually see this as Krishna is doing something in order to help me, to come close to him. Because sometimes we see things in a certain way, it's like we are being attacked, and then to destroy our relationship or our status, whatever everything we have. But actually, if we see that it's Krishna who is helping us through this person, and then even if it looks like something wrong, but actually this is completely for our benefit, so then you don't have the same sense of wanting to revenge or not liking the person, trying to avoid it, because Krishna is actually working through him, and then you can, it's cleaning up the whole,
Yes.
the dust or dirt or cloud or whatever,
Yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to say one more thing. You have a question? Sorry. Huh? Inside? What do you mean by inside? Oh, inside. Okay, yeah. Say. Then I'll say.
Very short, because the verse was very, very poetic and beautiful, and describing the beautiful relationship between Krishna and Balaram. And I just remember they were massaging each other's feet, and because just right now Mataji Adurani, she mentioned about the importance of having wonderful, nice relationship with devotees, and this makes me remember Maharaj Ambarish, who was using his body, speak and life to do everything to please the Lord and his devotees. And he was massaging with as well as Krishna Balaram. They have this relationship. He was massaging the bodies of devotees, and he was cleaning, and he was everything was just in that direction. So I believe that what Yadurani Mataji, she realized, it's part of our own realization as well, my own realization, I could put it like that, that it's very important to engage our speech, mind, and all activities, especially when we have the fortune to reside in a place of Radharani, Radhadesh. It's really very important to try our best to engage, to have proper relationship, sincere, and without dualities, and to just put everything as it is, and also very carefully, because the speech is very important and the sweet words are very important. And if we cannot offer speech, maybe we could offer presents and small gestures to devotees if we cannot express it. Sometimes I have difficulties with the English, but still it's I'm trying to express it. So that's what I want to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to finish here, but I would like to offer my words now, because I want to, first of all, I don't know if they're listening, maybe not, but anyway. I want to thank you Nikunja Vasini, Mataji and Premasidi Ananda Prabhu, because they gave me their spot so I can give this lecture. I also want to thank all the Radhadeshvasis for accepting my husband and me here. And this will always be my second home or third home, because I have a lot of homes lately. And I'm very grateful for all the friendships that I developed here. They're something that I would like to treasure for the rest of my life. And I hope we will visit each other. So Switzerland is open. We would be very happy to welcome anyone who would like to visit us. I would also like to say thank you for all the Senior Vaishnavi Association also, because that is what is lacking in Zurich, unfortunately, due to some circumstances. There are senior devotees there, but you don't see them. So I'm very grateful for your association, because I learned a lot from all of you, and I hope I will come and serve you more, and that I hope that you will accept my services. I would also like to also thank you to Shyamananda Prabhu for tolerating me also, because we had a few exchanges, but I'm very grateful for his help in English words, for giving me support in my future spiritual life, let's say it like that. So I'm very grateful for that. And I wish you all the best. And also thank you for allowing me to give lectures, because I really like to do this service. And thank you for allowing me to decorate for the festivals, for Radha Gopinath, because I really like that service also. I actually liked all the services, and Radha fulfilled all my desires regarding the services that I would like to do. So thank you. And my husband also would like to express his gratitude as well, but at the moment he couldn't come today. So I use this opportunity because it's difficult to see everyone and to say goodbye to everyone. So, but anyway, we will come again. So I would like to say thank you to all. So Hare Krishna, thank you for listening.